What's going on, guys? I'm Yeti, aka Chris,
What's going on, guys? I'm Jason, aka Middlecore Pretty Boy.
and this is the Social Core Podcast Network.
This is a little bit of a passion project that we've kind of. I wouldn't say we've struggled to put together, but it's been kind of few and far between in the past few months.
Had some technical difficulties the last time because we tried to record from distance and no audio.
Fucking
at all.
Discord.
So fuck Discord for the audio. But this podcast is basically a shoot to shit podcast where we talk about album reviews, bands that we like, bands we dislike, artists we like, artists we dislike. Basically, a full shoot to shit podcast.
Basically anything that kind of comes to mind, but with a less chaotic kind of structure.
So, granted, this is the first episode, so we will have technical difficulties, ramble a lot, but as the episodes progress, we will get better at them.
Oh yeah, most definitely. This one's just kind of getting the kinks out the way.
Most definitely.
But this should be interesting. What do we got up first, buddy?
Okay, so let's see. Favorite albums.
Okay, you already know where I'm going to go with this one.
I think we all do.
At least my first three. The top three albums I know I've gone through mainly consistently this year. Number three, Maybe in Another Life by Bloom, because it kind of sounds like Counterparts, but overall it's just a really good, melodic kind of metalcore album. Number two, I love The Last 10 Seconds of Life. I've never been disappointed in an album they've put out yet, but this new album that they put out this year is probably the most return to form, I guess, because it kind of sounds like soulless hymns, like when Storm was in the band. And it's simple, it's straight to the point. It's meant to just be, it's more groove based instead of just trying to be fast or technical. It's like I said, it's kind of a groovy, just kind of like punch to the mouth, and I thought it was really interesting. Number one, obviously, because I was waiting for the album since fucking November, but the new Boundaries album, which I've probably played to death more than 1,000,000 times.
Every car ride.
And Leela can definitely attest to that for a lot of reasons. But yeah, that new Boundaries album, I mean, literally for the past probably 4 years, I think Boundaries has been my top played no matter what they've put out. I think even for last year, Boundaries still managed to be my number one played from the last album they put out, which might be a problem, but we're not going to talk about that one.
Listen, my boy preference. I want to say number three for me. Like, it won't even be like metal. It's still rock, but Dear Agony by Breaking Benjamin. Such a great album.
Okay, so I'm completely misunderstood the thing because I went by albums this year.
Oh, no. It's like albums of all time.
Oh, damn. Okay, so that's a lot harder of a question to answer now.
So you've already done that.
So. Yeah, see, that was easier for me to answer. But, God, you kind of put me in a hole here now.
Okay, so all right, here, I'll do it this year. The Dark Void EP by Asking Alexandria.
It was a solid EP. Like
the re-release, Miss May I, they re-released an album.
I have a gripe with that album, but we'll get into that in a minute.
It's okay, but it's not okay at the same time.
Yeah. We'll get into that one in a minute, though. Why?
And shit.
I already know what your number one's going to be. I just don't think you've said it yet.
I probably haven't.
Is it new Bill Murray?
I'd have to, yeah.
Yeah, because you've been playing that one a lot recently.
Bill Murray has been on my playlist.
I think the last time we even went anywhere and did anything, most of it was like, yo, have you heard this new Bill Murray? And I'm like, you're finding out who they are?
Listen, I fucking love Bill Murray, okay?
Shout out to Johnny Frank on that one. Honestly, I never thought somebody from Attack Attack would put out something like this and really carry it somewhere, but I mean, it's good to see that somebody besides Caleb and Beartooth knows how to carry something on original.
Craig Owens with Destroy Rebuild Until God.
That's a good band, although I almost went and seen them like a year or two ago because they were playing with Varials, and I fucking love Varials.
Listen, I'm actually glad that he's actually putting something out. Craig Owens is a great fucking vocalist.
Dude, he was great. He was great in Chiodos.
Like 10 out of 10.
Craig Owens was great when he was in Chiodos, and honestly, I think I like
The feature
this
that he
material
did
better.
in the same thing, Every Day Pinky by Broadway. Listen, Broadway is a great band.
It's just that title.
I hate the title, but Broadway is such a great band. I love Broadway. That's 2014 for me, dude. Going back in high school.
There's nothing I love more than a good, just random ass song title.
Right, like you have to love that band, but it's like vocalists like that. It's just it's something like about their voices or whatever fits the band perfect.
Right.
And his voice fits that band perfect, just like Caleb's fits Beartooth.
Honestly, I don't think anybody could fit that band better than Caleb.
No, fuck no.
Caleb has shown so much growth as a vocalist over the years. From like when he first started doing vocals in Attack Attack, he wasn't really that good. Then when they were putting out songs like Smokeahontas, he was doing a little bit better. And then towards like the tail end of Attack Attack, he got really good. But I mean, everybody knew the ability he had. But sorry, when Beartooth put out that first release, when they like that very first release that Beartooth put out, especially when they put out "I Have a Problem," I feel like that kind of took everybody's expectations of what they already knew he could do and just kind of like
Turned it up.
threw it, like went like 12 miles past that. Like Caleb is exceptionally talented, and I feel like a lot of people forget like he does all the stuff in Beartooth himself, still does.
See, I feel that way like with Chris Motionless. Like his older stuff is good. Like him live in like 2014 to 2024 is a completely different Chris.
He's just changed a lot himself over the years because I mean it kind of didn't help because of the producer they had, but you know now he doesn't sound so fucking much like Marilyn Manson. You know,
No, God, no.
like their music doesn't sound so much like Manson. His voice doesn't sound so much like Manson. His lyrically, he's improved
Yeah,
a lot. Jesus Christ, Graveyard Shift. I'm not gonna get into that one. I have a gripe with that album, especially because of Necessary Death.
I like the album, but then again, at the same time, it's not one I would put on my Apple playlist and hit play every day.
Yeah, it's not one that like you go into and you're like, God, I've got to hear that album today just for like no reason.
Yeah, no. Like if I had an album like that, it'd be From Death to Destiny.
Oh, that's a fair answer. But if it was Motionless albums, I'd probably pick either of their last two albums, or I'd just go back and listen to Creatures.
Oh, Creatures hands down.
I would probably play Abigail 3 times before I even played anything else. I can't even lie to you.
Abigail was great. I'm sorry, that's
amazing.
high school for me. That took me back.
Except the bad part is I was in middle school.
Shut up. Let's see.
Oh God.
I'm trying to figure out how to go about this. What's your opinion on some vocalists? Like
I was about to say that's kind of
not personal wise, but like
that's a vague question. I feel like you might need to like throw some names out there.
Okay, Ronnie Radke, Danny Worsnop, Tillian, Tyler Carter.
Oh, so those guys. First off, fuck Tyler Carter.
Great vocalist.
Well, that's the thing they all have in common. They're great vocalists, but they've done so many shitty things, especially Tyler Carter.
Yeah, like I love Issues as a band. Like holy fuck, seeing them live was like great. But finding out the whole shebang that he's fucking done is just.
And the thing, I mean, the only thing I can really say out of that is like, at least he didn't try to like bullshit around and just like, oh, I didn't do it. At least he was like, he came forward about it. But like, dude, what the fuck?
Like Ronnie Radke, shit artist. I mean, shit person. From what I've heard, I mean, he may be a good person. Who knows? But as a vocalist, one of the best.
Ronnie, at this point, it's kind of like that TikTok that Leela had sent me the other day. where him and like Garrett from Silent Planet and for some reason Andy Sizza got wrapped up in that. And there's been no proof to come from that either, which makes absolutely no sense. But, typical Ronnie. But, like, I really, at this stage, like, Ronnie, for a lot of reasons, just is not the same artist that me and a lot of other people grew to, like, know and understand. Like, from when he was in Escape the Fate, putting out songs like Situations and whatnot, to now, like, the fall off, like, especially just, I feel like Ronnie has dove so head first into just trying to keep the popularity and doing it by any means necessary. He's kind of just lost grip on a lot of reality.
Well, his new album, Ronald, is just basically him saying "fuck you" to everybody, and that's what I've noticed with that album. And I mean, that's understandable. That's cool, but
it's not a bad album, but it's not a great one either. Like,
don't get me wrong, I don't. The song with Jelly Roll, I like Jelly Roll. Don't get me wrong, I love Jelly Roll, but it shouldn't have been on that album.
I understand it was trying to be something fun, but I felt like that should have been better more as like a one-off kind of thing. And to be fair, a few of those like singles probably shouldn't have been included on the album because that's probably the biggest gripe, not only for myself but for a lot of other people with that album, is that minus like 3 songs, maybe 4, it's nothing but the singles they've put out since 2019.
Yep.
Like starting with Popular Monster and forward. Like
Popular Monster was great.
It's still probably the best song on that album, like crazily enough to say, but like Ronald, was a weird thing for a lot of reasons. Like I think Tech Nine, given the right song, like when it comes to a lot of rock and metal bands, works. Tech Nine genuinely can like genre hop, and nobody would bat an eye.
Exactly.
Tech Nine is Tech Nine. He fits in just whatever he does. Like he's very versatile. Who said Alex Terrible needed to be on it?
I think Ronnie was going for heavy, and I understand that.
But he can do that perfectly well on his own. Like Alex
exactly
kind of felt like it was there just to be there.
Alex was like, "Hey man, I'm in the studio today. Oh hey, me too. You want to do something? Shoot the shit? Sure." That's what that was. I felt like. Like, don't get me wrong, Alex is a great artist as well.
Yeah,
but his style of vocals don't belong on a song like that.
I have a weird thing with Slaughter to Prevail because I used to really like them, but I very quickly kind of grew tired of them, mainly because what sounds different?
Nothing, honestly and truly. All his songs sound the same.
It's really inaudible vocals and just like, and that's coming from me. Like there's a lot of vocalists who do just one tone and it works. And it does kind of work for him, but Slaughter to Prevail really does kind of start to sound the same. It's very like monotone. It's either a really like face punchy kind of body banging riff, or it's like gravity blast out the gate, and it's kind of just you don't get anything else from it really.
See, as a bullshit vocalist, I can't really say that his technique is good and all this, that, and the other because I do not know. But as a person, hey,
in all seriousness, his technique is great because I mean, I've seen so many videos of like, dude will be in a venue, everybody stops talking, he'll put the mic on the floor,
and you can hear him.
You can still hear him. Like he probably has the most powerful vocals I've ever heard.
Yeah, but
power doesn't equal like skill or technique.
You can't sound monotone the entire fucking time.
Yeah,
and that's what he's doing. He's monotone. I feel like because he does the one low,
he just sticks to that one thing, and then he might go up a little bit, but his lows have always been his strong suit, and his highs sound very nasally and pterodactyly.
I don't like his clean vocals. That's not because he's Russian, I swear.
It's just he hasn't practiced it enough, and he's just kind of throwing it in there.
He just needs to stay as a metal vocalist and shoot it like that.
Yeah, because like really and truly, like he doesn't have much versatility to his range, at least not yet. Like, and that's nothing against Alex, but really, like a lot of people are just like, Maybe you shouldn't try this too much.
It's like Eddie from Suicide Silence throwing in cleans. If you're gonna be a hardcore vocalist like that, a metal vocalist, and add in cleans, you need to do like Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel.
Oh, I remember the day fucking, what was the song called? Doris?
Yep.
I remember the day that shit came out, and people were like, oh, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad. And then I heard the, what?
Everybody fucking clowned him.
I'm like, Eddie? What?
So again, it's like I'm saying, if you're going to do clean vocals, look at Phil Bozeman.
Yeah.
Look at Danny from Upon the Burn a Body.
Kyle from Brand of Sacrifice. Really good example of cleans. Oh, Joe from Fit for an Autopsy has done it in the past 2 albums, and it works amazing.
Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah, exactly. Rest in peace, Travis Turnab. One of the most influential vocals, not just in like death metal and deathcore, just in metal in general.
Well, that's also
the best part about Travis. He was like he's a total fucking nerd, but like that's the coolest thing to it. Is like he was proud of it, and I love it.
That's like Danny from Asking Alexandria. Cleans are fucking phenomenal. Yeah. Even with him, you know, in their old albums, him doing the harsh vocals and still doing cleans, it's great. Like you can't go wrong with it. If you screw it up, there's a problem. You need to backtrack, start back over. Well, you as a vocalist, you can understand that.
Oh my god, more times than I can count.
Okay, so like
I think I've had to swap my not my technique per se, but like especially like breathing techniques and a lot of different stuff. I've switched those more times than I can count. Because every time I think I'm like, all right, this might work, and then I've noticed like it'll start holding out a little bit less, and I'm having to like strain a little bit more. Yeah. I'm like, nope, try it again.
So, Amity Affliction's coming out with their Redux album.
I think they already put it out. Actually, let me go ahead and check that now.
It's the 23rd, but it's nothing popped up on mine.
Because I had seen they added something the other day. That's the only reason why I really said anything. But speaking of Amity, I will say an update on the whole. Okay, so it comes out on the 27th. But
okay, 27th.
I mean, you know about the whole news of like them kind of kicking Arn off the tour, which luckily some stuff has come to light about that. He's going to be rejoining them for a lot of their Australian shows.
Then he's going to take a break.
Yeah, then he's going to take a break, which I probably think is a good thing because I mean he's a lot of the guys, especially him and Joel, have kind of struggled with like sobriety and stuff over the years. Joel, he's been sober for a few years now, but I think Arn's kind of been back and forth.
Yeah.
I think he had a bad relapse before like this last tour because I had seen a lot of comments where people said he didn't look like the most coherent in the world.
Yeah, no.
And all that kind of stuff. And like that's nothing against him because he's probably one of my favorite clean singers. Like nobody has a voice that really sounds like his. Like if I hear him, I'm like, oh, I know exactly who that is. And like, not to mention he's learned to throw screams on top of that now, and he's got a real like powerful kind of breathy like death metal style low.
Yeah,
like it's amazing. Like he doesn't have like way too much to throw onto his range, but he works so well with it. It's like doesn't need anything else.
I think we need to do that album review next week.
We definitely should because
I think that's going to be the first one that we actually do.
I figured out why they had to re-release it is because they were originally signed to Roadrunner, and Roadrunner had a lot of bands, like Slipknot and all that kind of stuff. Roadrunner's got a lot of big bands. Motionless, I think, is still on that label.
Yeah, because they switched. They switched from what was it?
Fearless.
Yeah, they switched from Fearless and went to Roadrunner.
Yeah,
and that's when they dropped bangers.
That's when they finally started dropping like the bigger kind of albums that they'd put out within the last like 3 years. But fuck, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so they were originally on Roadrunner. Well, they were on Unified for like the first 2 albums, and I think when they really started putting out the bulk of like their bigger stuff in the catalog, they were putting out on Roadrunner. Like when they originally put out Let the Ocean Take Me, Chasing Ghosts, I think also came out on that. This Could Be Heartbreak, Misery, and I think those were the last albums to come out on Roadrunner. But a lot from what I've seen, especially from the band themselves, they weren't making shit off of it.
No, God, no.
Like they weren't making next to nothing off of that album. I think they would make
more off of merch than they would.
Yeah, pretty much. So. Like, and that's sad, but that's kind of an unfortunate reality about the business, especially if you're like a younger band. You know, like God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen to mine, but hell, like I think Sworn In is still like really not making shit off of like their
No.
first album or two because of like them signing with like some of their earlier labels and stuff.
That makes me wonder about like bands like Spike.
That's a good question because you know they were signed to Franz's label
Yep.
at one point.
It's like I think it's Dead Crown too.
Dead Crown.
I think
Uh,
that's the band name.
They were a solid band, but I have a gripe with some of their members, and it's mainly because like I think at one point one of their members had like some really hefty allegations come out against him. Instead of like acknowledging it or doing anything about it, they just started deleting comments.
Yeah.
And I don't respect that whatsoever. That's kind of my issue with Dance Gavin Dance is because like instead of kicking Tillian out of the band, especially when he admitted to it, and they just put him on hiatus. That I didn't understand it itself, and it sounds weird coming out of my mouth because I really like Dance Gavin Dance, and I don't want to look at it that way, but that's one of those things you can't separate art from the artist,
Yeah,
especially
no.
because they're basically like I don't know whether to call them enablers or just apologists because they kind of did both in a way.
It's like, hey, you know, he's still my friend. I know what he did, but
And-
he's still my friend.
Yeah, and they had put out one single I think after he came back, and then you know they
Yep.
booted him, and they were like, "Oh, it's because of creative differences." So you mean to tell me he admitted all this shit, and you still didn't fire him?
Exactly.
Who's your manager?
Unlike issues with Tyler, they let Tyler go right off the
Immediately,
fucking
and
bat.
it was probably I'm not gonna say it was the best idea, but it was kind of trending in that direction anyways because Issues was kind of going all over the place.
Issues was going all over the place, but
And I hate saying that
yeah, because Issues it was one of the biggest bands for me.
because Sky tours. He was already touring with 21 Pilots a lot. Or I
Yeah.
think he's touring with 21 Pilots. He's touring with like one of those bigger type. I want to say, if I'm wrong, Jesus Christ, 21
Sue me.
Pilot fans don't fucking shoot me.
Sue me.
So basically, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. But he's been touring with like a really big name band, and I want to say that it's 21 Pilots, but he's been doing that for like a long time. Josh kind of does a few
Yeah.
like session jobs here and there. AJ had kind of been back and forth between them and Bad Wolves for a while, which
Yep.
he's touring full time with them now. In fact, I think he's a full time member of the band now, if I'm not mistaken.
I like Bad Wolves now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Tommy Vex's voice.
The crazy part to know about Bad Wolves is that their vocalist used to play guitar in the Acacia Strain.
Shit.
Yeah, Daniel Laskowitz, who used to play guitar for Acacia, and I think it was a lot. I don't want to say he was like too heavy set of a guy, but I want to say he was a bigger dude. But nah, I mean like that was a crazy thing to learn because I remember when they first announced it, I'm like, I know that name from somewhere, Laskowitz.
Have you noticed that all the members in Whitechapel look like bodyguards for Phil? I love you, Phil.
Especially I can't remember his name to save my life, but I think his name is Alex Wade. the guy ironically who has almost the same haircut as you, who's over to the right side.
Dude, he's fucking huge.
they all look like they're just there to protect Phil.
We must protect Phil at all costs.
Protect Phil Bozeman at all costs. That man's too good. Like just not as a vocalist, but just
as a person.
Yeah, as a person, we love Phil Bozeman.
So singles wise, like bands like Memphis Mayfire have been dropping singles left and right. Like I can gripe about Memphis all day.
They're very hit and miss with their stuff.
They are because one album will be great, one album will be bad, one album will be mid, the next album will be great. Their singles.
Bring Me kind of does the same thing.
Bring Me hasn't been the same since like 2012.
They'll do a good one, a mid one, and then a terrible one.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, well, at least like a lot of people say that, I've liked their last probably 3 releases. I don't care what anybody says about Amma. I thought it was a better album than people give it credit for.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I feel like people are now starting to come around to that fact. And now people are like, oh, you know, they put out Next Gen and then post survival horror. And I'm like, oh, so now you like them. but
You
you've
got-
like shit on them for years.
You got to think about it, though. Like most of their listeners now are new listeners, or not old listeners. If they go back and listen to, Bring Me in the very beginning, they're going to be like, "There's no way that this is the same band."
Yeah, like it's the same thing with Bad Omens too. Because could you imagine listening to like the Death of Peace of Mind and then going back to listening to like Dethroned?
Asking Alexandria, old stuff versus new stuff. It's not the same.
Yeah,
people.
going from Alone in a Room to Not the American Average.
Dude. And the reason why he can't play that song live is because he physically cannot. His vocals cannot take it.
Yeah, because I mean he heavily drank so much over the years. I mean, to be fair, Ollie did the same thing.
Yeah. But Ollie come back from his, though.
Ollie has at least doing something to work on his voice. Danny was just like,
Danny kept blowing out his vocal cords.
Danny didn't know when to stop.
No, and
now that he stopped, he doesn't want to do it again.
Yeah, because they're no longer going to play these songs off the first 3 albums.
No, and they've barely even included 2 within the past few years anyways.
Sorry about the cat, guys. I think the only one that they've really been playing is A Prophecy, and that's the one that he's actually practiced with.
Yeah, but the thing is, he can still scream, and he sounds better. He just doesn't really have the urge for it anymore. And I understand sometimes you grow out of those kind of things, but
it's not my style anymore. It's what was needed for the band. It's blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing over and over. It's what was needed. Do what you want. If you didn't want to join back with the band, shouldn't have done it.
Right. In all seriousness, like, if he did want to, Asking Alexandria, it might have just been better out, like, I don't want to say dying out, but maybe they could have. Maybe if Dennis Stoff wasn't such a shitty person, they probably could have done something.
The Black was a great fucking album.
It was. It really was.
Like, Dennis fit the band fucking perfectly. The Black was my favorite fucking single.
Single.
The Black was my favorite single off that fucking album.
Oh, yeah, it's my favorite single.
But at the same time, if he wasn't such a fucking piece of shit,
give me my fucking money. That's basically the entirety of Dennis and Asking Alexandria.
Give me my money.
Yeah, give me my fucking money.
Like, his voice. All right, so I went back and watched 2015 Warped Tour, right? Videos from all over with Asking Alexandria. His vocal range is good. He has no power.
No.
Like, his lows, no. It is like a new kid learning how to scream for the first time.
Yep. Been there.
And just completely giving out within 3 fucking words.
Been there.
Well, he was good at Make Me Famous as a fucking guitarist.
With the headset mic.
He was good making YouTube videos.
With the headset mic.
But I enjoyed it at the time because it was something new. It was something different.
Now you go back and look at it, I was like, who allowed this?
Exactly.
And who let me like it?
It's like Ben said in an interview. He was interviewing somebody, or somebody was interviewing him. He was like, well, what about all your old songs? Like he said, Danny cannot do it no more. He wanted to throw more songs in, but Danny couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I guess this, tour that they're on now is going to be an ode to, all the past songs.
Yeah.
So
pretty much like to their old material. Because, I mean, at this point, I feel like Danny at least would want to try, like, a balance of the two.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they tried it out when they put out the self-titled album. I mean, honestly, I would have loved if they tried a few more songs out like Eve.
Yeah.
Because Eve was a good song.
Empire. That one grew on me. And I hate to be that way, and I know we're talking a lot about Asking Alexandria.
I hate the song.
Empire was so good.
I hated it.
Instant Fire was great.
See, I like that one off the bat for absolutely no reason. Hopelessly Hopeful is probably my favorite.
Vultures, just as an acoustic, was great.
Although my biggest gripe with that album, and it probably is the reason why I didn't listen to it for a while, is When the Lights Go On just sounds like Fall Out Boy. It's literally My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark.
Exactly.
With different words.
Exactly.
They literally ripped off Fall Out Boy. Like, if you're going to pick a Fall Out Boy song to rip off, maybe don't pick one of their top 5, maybe top 3 most most popular songs, especially one that's gone like double platinum in America. It's
Right.
only like fucking, gold in their home country of the UK, which you're fucking from.
One of the biggest fucking songs.
Like, pick something else. Like, if you're at least gonna try, I'm not saying plagiarism is good, but if you're gonna try and rip off a song of theirs, at least go with something that's a little more in the deep like parts of the catalog.
Exactly. I think The Violence was like a great mix.
Very much so.
Like riff wise, vocal wise, lyrically wise.
Was really good.
I even love the fucking music video.
Yeah, the video was awesome.
Like, even though it was a long fucking video, it was still a good fucking video.
Like, that's like you said, that was probably the best mixture that they could have done, and then they didn't do it. You know another band who's really bad for doing that? Die Hard is Murder. They've been doing it for 4 albums now. They'll put out one single. That's like, all right, that's the direction you need to go. And they're like, hey, but what if we like don't like they put out No Absolution before they put out Dear Desolation. No Absolution, really good. They didn't follow that style at all. Like Dear Desolation was still a really good album, but they didn't follow that direction at all. They put out Death Perception before they put out Human Target. Human Target was fucking garbage. I have a gripe with Human Target for a lot of reasons. And like I love that they at least try to branch out and do different like topics. And I know he's not in the band anymore, but Jesus Christ, CJ, we get it. You hate religion. Talk about something else. He's like, hey, this reason number 5 of why I hate God this week.
He hates religion. He hates war.
Like, okay, we get it. You hate those things. I mean, at least he, diverged from the topics, but then the album wasn't good.
Could be worse. Like, he could be like Tim.
Are we talking about Tim Lambesis?
Here, let me go kill my wife. Try to put it.
Yeah, let me go try to kill my fucking wife.
Then get back in my band. Everybody forgive me.
And then everybody leave to join bigger bands.
Listen, My Own Grave was actually pretty good.
It was, but I could tell I didn't like the last album that they did put out because you could tell it felt forced.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. The only song I liked off that album was like My Own Grave was good, Shaped by Fire was good, and I liked The Wreckage.
Yeah.
It's probably it. You could tell that album was so forced, like just nothing meshed. It just didn't feel like they really came like to an amends. You can't come
to an amends with something like that. Like Trivium's last 2 albums feel like I'm trying to figure out the words. Like
In the Court of the Dragon was really good. I like that they tried a different concept.
Yeah. And I think that's because of his vocals.
Although what the Dead Men Say, I do think is better.
He's had to change his vocals up a lot because
he blew his voice out like multiple years ago. He did the same thing like Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Which ironically the guy that like helped him reshape his voice was the same one who helped him. So like
I like the new sound, but I also miss the old sound as well. And that's me being a bigot.
Yeah, that's just like, man, like that's just me loving Ascendancy a little too much.
Come on now, you grew up with albums, so of course you're gonna love it.
Yeah, like listen, like an album like Ascendancy is just something you can't like let go of.
That's like bands like Breaking Benjamin. They have never changed up their sound, and it still works to this day.
They're one of the few bands that hasn't changed their sound, and it still worked for them. Like it's not old, and you're not tired of it.
I'm gonna hold Breaking Benjamin to the highest fucking pedestal to the day I die.
Oh, absolutely. Like I don't think there's nothing else that you could hold them to besides that.
No, like all of their albums are great.
I mean, and it's weird for them because like, I mean, the only real difference in them now is like they've had member changes, but probably it.
The sound still stays the same.
Yeah, it's still the same Breaking Benjamin in a way, but I think. Which is kind of weird because I think they creep in with a few like little bit of extra stuff that adds a little more dynamic to it.
Right.
Like they got new members. Pretty much everybody except for Ben is a new member.
Yeah.
Like, but now they have 3 people playing guitar, which really makes that sound swell some more. Like Their drummer is amazing. Their drummer's a lot better than the last one.
It's still 2000s rock, but with
It gives it a fun kind of modern punch now.
yeah, it's not dad rock like
Yes,
all these
it's
other
not
fucking bands that are
just-
coming.
Yeah, it's not just rock. Like it kind of has its own interesting feel to it because sometimes they have borderline like I don't want to say metalcore sounding riffs, but they have borderline at least metal riffs.
Yeah, like their riffs are great.
Especially because Ben knows how to do that like almost scream kind of thing. Like for instance, Red Cold River is probably the best like utilization of that or Tourniquet.
I will not bow.
That's also a good one. With that fucking
Dude, I've listened to the Dear Agony album front to back, left to right. My brother got tired of it. He could not listen to Breaking Ben forever.
I can understand that. That's kind of how I feel about Sleep Token right now. In a way.
I like Sleep Token. I love Sleep Token. I could fall asleep listening to them and wake up listening to them because, I mean, Vessel's vocals are just great.
Yeah, he's an amazing vocalist. Also, fuck whoever docks them and all their shit. I hate you. Trip over a knife. Because why? Like, why did you feel the need to disclose any of their information, especially their personal, literal? Like, I'm pretty sure they even exposed what their fucking blood type was.
It didn't make no sense for me. I liked it being a mystery.
That was the intrigue of it.
Exactly.
It's like everybody was okay not knowing who they were, and even if they knew who they were,
yeah,
we're not gonna tell everybody.
No.
So that kind of ruined it because now I at least have pieced some things together, but still, I'm not gonna expose it. I don't feel the need to, there's no need to do that.
I agree.
But again, I had gone off on kind of a tangent, but the Thy Art Is Murder thing is still in the back of my head, and I have another kind of thing. Human Target. The reason why I didn't like it so much is because it just lacked riffs. And that's a weird thing to say for Thy Art Is Murder because that band knows how to write a fucking riff.
I'm in the same boat with Asking Alexandria, and that's a hill I'll die on forever because Asking Alexandria was one of my favorite bands. Their self-titled album is basically dad rock now. It's radio rock.
It's octane core.
Yeah, knowing from what I know from when my sister introduced me to them to now, it's just like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's such a night and day difference. And the bad thing is, Thy Art didn't change the sound. They just kind of stripped away the one aspect that made them. And when they put out this album, I like the new vocals. I mean, of course I do. I literally covered it. But they don't seem to know what to do.
No.
They flirt with this weird line where it's they're pulling, two of them are pulling in a direction of American death metal almost, and then the other two are pulling into we want to sound like Behemoth. And they don't know which one they want to fucking do, and they've been doing it for 3 albums now. They've been doing it for Dear Desolation, Human Target, and now Godlike. But now Godlike just sounds like a very straight up more death metal record. I don't have an issue with that. What I have an issue with though is why CJ got kicked out of the band? Justifiable. I understood it. I had no issue with it. What I hated though is that they were going to do it regardless, and if that didn't come out, that was going to ruin their credibility completely.
Most definitely.
They were going to force him out regardless. They were. I don't know another band that's really forced him out. They were basically going to pull a Dance Gavin Dance when they brought Johnny Craig back.
It's like Ocean's 8 Alaska.
Pretty much. When they forced Jake out.
Jake went out. Homeboy come back in.
Well, they forced him back in.
Yeah. Now he got back out. Now the lead singer Joel.
A lot of J names.
The first fucking single they put out, Endless Hollow, fucking great. Sounded too much like the mix between the two first singers.
The clean sounded too much like James to me.
Yeah, and I think they recorded it with James and just threw Joel in there for
screams.
And if that's the case, that's fucked.
Well, the only reason I can say that now is because like the cleans in the new song that they
Yep.
put out, they do sound like that. So like that kind of killed the theory of that in
Yeah.
a way. But
Like being on a tangent about that for months.
I just don't feel the urge to listen to Oceans like that anymore.
No,
I
like
feel like they're just
Clock was my favorite song.
They've had so much time to capitalize on so much, and they did it. You know, like when they put out Lost Isles, they killed that one with like Warped Tour and
Dude,
like.
Jake said he hated writing that album. The
Well, Jake wrote
Hikari?
Hikari.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's the reason why is because they didn't like cohesively perform everything together.
no.
They chopped it together. That's why he hated playing Hansha so much. Because like he loves that song, but he hated playing it live because they didn't hardly practice it. And basically, that's like that just doesn't work. That's gonna kill your voice.
Like he popped up on my YouTube feed, so I watched the video.
I was about to say, you've been watching those videos?
Yeah, and it's like why I hate playing the song. I'm just like, okay.
Like I'll
Whatever.
buy it.
Yeah, like, and that's what I did. I'm just like, okay, I can see why.
That made perfect sense, and it also makes sense for Oceans because they don't seem like structure is their thing.
No, like listen.
Even
to their
Periphery
riffs.
has structure, and they do prog. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. If a jet band has more structure than you, think
You hear this, ladies and gentlemen. Jason, something's wrong.
something's wrong. Me, 2046, vote for me for president. Maybe not president, but Speaker of the House. I'll do that. The biggest heist of the century.
We're going to wind down here. I think we've really talked about all the topics that we need to talk about. Unless you got something that you want to throw in there real quick.
I don't want to say like it's a full review, but like a mini review in a way because this album just came out. But that new Kublai Khan,
Fucking Ant Pile too.
so
Fucking love it. What was it? The Low Tech was great.
Theory of Mind. The singles were good between Theory of Mind and Low Tech.
Darwinism was good. X was good. The whole fucking album. All the fucking songs were good. So the whole new Kublai Khan was great. I give it to him. Like,
Which I knew what it was gonna sound like.
Yeah,
It's Kublai. They don't have to change much, but it's like,
dude, I'm waiting on Gideon to throw something out.
yeah, because they haven't thrown. When did they put out More Power, More Pain? Like 2 years ago. Yeah, I was still working at Domino's when they put that fucking album out.
It's crazy because I fell off with them and picked that album up whenever I split with my ex, getting married in 53 days, 52 days. But
when they put that album out, we didn't know each other.
No.
At all, which is the craziest part to think about. Is like, I remember when that album came out and just thinking, okay, this was a better step than the last album.
Yeah, Gideon's great. So I love Gideon. They hold a big place in my heart.
They're one of those bands that like. My favorite thing about Gideon, obviously the vocals are great. They always have good riffs, but I love their drums.
Oh, most definitely.
I love the drums. The production is just. I'm a sucker for a good snare tone.
Bass tone as well.
That bass tone, it's clangy. It's kind of just
clanging and banging, brother.
It's not the prettiest bass tone ever, but it's probably one of the better bass tones. Like Cane Hill has a really good bass tone. Oh my God, Cane Hill's got a good bass tone. But Cane Hill, Gideon, and Kublai are probably the three best bass tones I've heard.
Yeah,
in like the past few years.
Like out of those bands, Matt Honeycutt is the best vocalist. I'm sorry. Like,
hey, hold on now.
He is the best vocalist.
Hold on now. Cane Hill, listen, that man does a lot of different things. No, I don't know a guy like scream wise. Not the hardest to replicate.
Mm-hmm.
That's not hard to distinguish him. Well, at least not a lot of other people. I can tell the difference, but then again, I'm waiting on that new album, so I can't say too much.
You remember the band Villain of the Story?
Yeah.
Their fucking lead singer left. He stepped away. Not Christian, but
I was about to say not the tall dude, right?
No, not Christian, but the other one. The clean vocalist.
He was good. What happened?
Dude, he stepped away. I seen it the other day on fucking TikTok. Then I went on Instagram. I'm just like, yo, what the fuck?
He was good
The
too.
villain of the story was such a great man. Still is.
Oh man, because I really liked him, especially when they put out "Lying to Myself."
Like his harsh vocals reminded me of mine a little bit. Like they struggled, but they was there.
Yeah, like
And Christian sounds too much like Dennis.
he looks too much like Dennis.
I think there was a time in 2016, 17 where people were trying to copy him. And that's cool fine and dandy. Just don't look like the motherfucker.
Right. I mean, I can't say too much. Well, actually, no, I don't think I tried to copy the look of vocals per se.
No.
Now, sound guilty because my first 4 years of learning lows, I sounded like Dan fucking Watson.
I sounded like Danny from Asking, just with the lows, but I was doing lows wrong the entire time. So of course anybody's going to sound like that.
The bad reason why is I sounded too much like Dan Watson is because like I tried so hard not to do it, I fell into it anyways. Because I used to have the same thing that he still has an issue with, and it's like his lows don't sound low.
Yeah.
Like he's forcing it a little too hard, and you can tell it's like this is gonna sound really goofy, but this is what Dan sounds like. Kind of, it's like that. Like it's kind of weird. Like it's just he throws the distortion, but it just sounds wrong. It's like
Traders come on today, and I wanted to fucking two-step in the car, and I couldn't.
I still want to do the fucking Moose vocal.
Please don't. You're gonna peak the mics.
I watched them play that song one time live. The only time I've ever seen Traders. I can die happily after that.
So, folks, in next week's episode, we will be doing the Redux album review.
Oh, I don't know. Are there any other new albums even coming out? I'm trying to think. Like,
as of right now, I don't think so. I know Hurtwave just put out 2 singles.
Those are good.
Dayseeker is supposed to be dropping something here soon because they just got done recording their album.
Yeah, they just finished that, which we're going to see them in 2 weeks. That's going to be awesome. And Alpha Wolf.
Well, you've already seen them live, so.
Who?
Dayseeker.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
no, I was supposed to.
You're going to cry like a little bitch.
And my car fucked up.
You're going to cry like a little bitch because Roy's fucking vocals are amazing live, just like they are in studio.
Yeah, you've already seen them with who were they playing with? Fucking Silverstein?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I remember you and Marcus came back the next day. I was like, worth it.
Yeah, I didn't stay for Silverstein. I hate to be that way, but the Devil Wears Prada is playing again in Charlotte a week before the wedding.
I'm not going to be able to go.
I'm not either.
I want to because me and Leela were talking about going, and I really want to see them again. I really want to see Silent Planet again. I really want to see Greyhaven again.
I want to see Currents again.
I want to see Like Moss to Flames. I've never gotten to see them. It's one of my influences that the fucking band I'm in is based off of, and I haven't gotten to see them yet.
Let's see. We are going the 11th of January.
No, yo, the
Filth.
Speaking of Filth, I don't know if me or Leela told you this. They were there at the Corn show.
No.
When we were leaving, David and Dustin were both coming out, and I was just like, I was looking around because we were trying to find Mason. Mason's probably somewhere just beating the shit out of somebody during Cane Hill right now, but we were looking for him because I had to give him something back. Like, he had literally handed me his giant, like, gallon thing of water before he jumps in. I couldn't find him. So we're waiting outside, and I saw David come out first because he's always wearing that fucking Braves jersey, Ronald Acuna Braves jersey. But he came out in that, and I'm like, ain't no fucking way. And then Dustin sprints out right behind him. I'm like,
bro, it's just the fact that they sat beside me at the fucking Eagles Drive in Wilmington, and I'm just like, I'm looking over here, I'm like, I know this motherfucker looks familiar. Where the fuck do I know him from? Then he gets up on stage. I'm like, oh, I could have been talking to this motherfucker all night.
I got the mic for that. That was awesome.
I still had a video for that.
I still go back and watch it at least once out of the week. My crowning achievement, rather.
I watched it earlier. So we're gonna head out on this podcast. Next week we will be doing a full album review on the Amity Afflictions Redux.
Which it's not going to be too much different. The only difference probably is going to be the drums.
Yeah. So
which that's fine.
But with that being said, guys, we are gonna head out of here. I'm Chris.
I'm Jason.
And we will catch you on the next episode of the Social Core Podcast.
Now go home.
Go home.
Go home.
Go.
Go right now.
Home. Right now.
Right out the fucking door. Go home.
Go home.
What are you still doing here? Go home.
Go home.
Go home.
We're probably gonna cut this, but go home.
Go home. Bye.
Deuces.
Yeet.